Call this city council special meeting to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Stringham. Here. Felder.
Here.
Hayter.
Here.
Stillgrave. Here. Vining. Germaine.
Here.
Mayor Clark.
Here. Item is,
The next item is any public comment.
is there any public comment here this evening? Any public comments from those present? Seeing none, next item, clerk.
The next item is under our special meeting item 5895, city manager transition and succession discussion.
Thank you. Acting Manager Cochran, if you would introduce us, please.
Sure. Good evening, everybody. So following the retirement of David Robinson 2 weeks ago and following your appointment to name me as acting city manager, the commitment and the next step in the process would be to have a discussion about the next steps toward filling that position permanently. And so this evening, Dr. Julie Everly is going to present an overview of the possible, as well as some recommendations on the next step forward for review and discussion.
Dr. Everly.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Council, Clerk Lavoie, and Attorney Buds and Acting Manager Cochran. Thank you for having me here. As you can see, we're going to be walking through a number of slides tonight, and just to invite you into a conversation about the next steps we take with our city manager succession. So the conversation tonight has really 4 key purposes, and I wanted to highlight those as we get started. So I think it's really important that we define and take a look at our starting point, what has happened in the last 2 weeks as you appointed the acting city manager. Then we'll look through our job description of the city manager and the last profile that was created. And that really highlighted the qualities that the city council was looking for in a city manager. And then we'll take a look at some options to move forward with. They're really, although there are variations within each option, there are 3 key options that we'll explore tonight. And then on to recommended next steps. So I do have a recommendation as to which option looks to align with where we're at right now. And I'd like to invite you into a conversation to discuss that as well. So any questions about our 4 key purposes for this evening?
See none, please go.
Okay. So when we look at what brought us here tonight, 2 weeks ago, council acted upon the retirement of our city manager, David Robinson. And at that point in time, you also, per our charter, appointed an acting city manager, and that was Mr. Cochran. So from that point on, there have been operations as there normally would be in the city. So operations have been very, very stable. There's been a great deal of continuity, and I would even go as far to say we continue to thrive in the departments all over the city. So also with a starting point, whenever we have a vacancy, we either look toward our policy, or in the case of the city manager, we would look at our charter. And it's a great time to remind council that by charter, you do have a great deal of discretion and variance when it comes to filling the vacancy of the city manager. So the methodology that's used, the process that is used is truly going to be generated through your conversation. So I wanted to highlight a lot of what we're going to talk about tonight follows suit with all the hiring that we're doing throughout the city. We use a very collaborative approach. All of the department heads are always involved in any hiring that happens in their department. We're guided by a hiring policy. And from there, we collect applications, resumes, we do screenings. We have several, by the time someone gets hired, we've really had the opportunity to take a very in-depth look at them. We've had phone screenings, skill testing, panel interviews, performance tasks where we actually see them in the environment that they would be working in. Many times there are on-site tours and tasks, and then a final vetting. So this process, although the process for selection of a city manager could be slightly different, I think there are elements of this process that we use every day that you'll notice in the presentation tonight. And in addition to our policies and our practices and protocols, we always look at and look toward your goals and objectives with every single hire we make and every decision we make. I often use the term brick by brick. Every decision is intentional and deliberate. Brick by brick, we get closer every day to accomplishing the goals and objectives that you've set forth. And specifically, although hiring and the staff we create touches every single goal area and every objective, specifically when we look at selection processes and how we initiate those and plan those, we really think about goal number 5, the one that's to the far right. So the starting point tonight is really in the view of a human resources view, organizational development view. It's really a celebration of an internal bench that was very strong. 2 weeks ago when you accepted the retirement plan of the then city manager, you were presented by Mr. Buds with some options, and those were internal options. So really the best sign of success is when you have a very deep bench of internal talent who can do precisely what you've seen over the last 2 weeks, where you have that operational continuity. Many times transitions can be vulnerable times, and we certainly want to be sensitive to what a transition brings. But with a very deep bench of talent, an organization can really maintain operations, and that's exactly what has happened here. So reason to celebrate your progress on goal number 5 at this time. So I know it was a very busy time for you as well, and you were making a lot of decisions. So we wanted to help you to engage in some conversation around where we're at right now and the starting point. And we're eager to hear your thoughts throughout the presentation tonight, and to hear what your thoughts are, what the perception is to you about the organization and being ready for this transition. And is there anything that you've been thinking about over the last weeks regarding the planning and this discussion, and what a successful succession looks like for the city manager position? So I'll turn it over to you, Mayor, for.
Sure. I'll see if there's any thoughts from the council. I mean, as Dr. Everly's presenting this, there's periodic opportunities for some input and questions and answers. So we did briefly kind of chat about this, and knowing that we're here, I know I had some conversations, and I think that about there's a variety of processes, you know, about the organizational readiness and preparedness, it says, and what's the planning decision, but what do we look for, and what you might be looking for as priorities, and trying to give some input and feedback that we may have. Just for some background, I would say that, you know, some have on the board have also, the council have made this process and been participant of it before. And I think the first time that I was engaged with that here in the city, the personnel committee stepped in and did that. And then, of course, the second one, we turned it over to the human resources and went through that part with both involved a search process. So let's see if there's any thoughts. And I'm assuming that's what you're looking for, right? So any thoughts
Sure.
that they may have right now? Anybody in thoughts? I know it's early. There's more that we're going to have. So I bring up the examples only for a foundation. There's not one way in which these are done. I think different communities have different opportunities. I think I might have mentioned this the last meeting. There's external companies that do this. There's governmental entities like the Michigan Municipal League. But I think about what we have, and I thought what Dr. Everly said is we have a strong department heads and managers that are managing here since our transition. And so, the time sometimes is urgent and sometimes it's not as urgent. And I think that's part of what we should be thinking about as well. I think back to the first time that involved, there was some urgency. I know that Mr. Sell was the acting city manager at the time, but our structure was a lot different back then. And our structure was different as far as personnel. And there was more of an urgency then. I look forward to hear what we have. I don't know that that's necessarily the case, but as we hear more, we can provide input on that so where we go. So I don't see any, so if you want to continue.
Very good, thanks. So I think the key piece to remember about where we're starting the conversation is it is a position of strength. So you have an acting city manager, operations are continuing, and you have an administration group and a staff who are already oriented toward your goals with plans and strategies to achieve them. So as we move forward brick by brick here, you have in front of you a copy of the city manager job description. And so as you look toward an acting filling of a vacancy, an interim filling of a vacancy, or a permanent filling of a vacancy, the work is always still the work. So you want to really start as one of your building blocks with a job description. And this is the current city manager job description. And it's formatted like all of our job descriptions in the city of Monroe. And it contains 3 pages, but highlighted are the essential skills and qualifications that are really necessary for success in the role. And from the job description, at the last point in time that we did a search for a city manager, we also took that job description with council's input, and we created from there a profile we said, what are the qualities that a city manager candidate, the ideal candidate, would bring to the city of Monroe? And we had several sessions on that, and we refined. We started with many ideas, and having conversations with each of you, and we narrowed them down to some common themes that are on the screen here for you to look at. And even at that time, we knew, as with any profile for any position, that the needs of an organization change. So what we have here is a working profile, because it is meant to be revisited and changed and updated. So the key pieces of this profile are being a visionary, being service-oriented, a communicator, someone who brings a shared leadership style and can lift other leaders up to be their best, someone with a municipal proficiency. We knew that there's no one candidate that's going to come to you and have worked in every department of a city or of a county. But we need them to have municipal proficiency and understand how local government works. We wanted to make sure that the candidate was systemic and routine, so that they had routines and rituals and they were really easy for people to follow. A collaborator, someone who could really bring people together and help them own the work together and be relationship centered. What we know in our community, as well as many other communities, is that relationships really are a key fuel to making any initiative work. So then we said he or she needs to be strategic. And so they understand that the decision that's in front of them it might be short term, but it's going to be a domino effect to many other decisions to come. Needed to be creatively resourceful. And I remember this specifically in some of our conversations. They could get things done. They knew how to garner resources to make things happen. And we wanted someone who creates belonging. So it added and built on your efforts in the community that you're working towards, and be inspirational. So we know that there are times when everyone's really excited about decisions that a leader has to make, and there are some times that there's not as much excitement. But we definitely council at that time, it was important in the profile that even in those times when it was hard for people to understand, that you wanted a leader for the city of Monroe who could bring promise and hope and reason to what was happening. So those two key pieces are the pieces that we have established. And then from those two key pieces, we move forward into what could this process of getting started look like? But I wanted to stop again. There's certainly some questions that aren't meant to be limiting, but just to be a springboard. But just to check in with you, I don't want to get too far ahead and not give you the opportunity for your discussion and thoughts. So I'll pause for a moment.
Sure, thank you. Any thoughts from council? I know that there's a lot of information here, but it's things that we've gone through. I think about the last 3 years on the process we followed on performance reviews, and how we looked at not all those questions, but look at those kind of the profile topics that we have here. So as we look at the screen, there's some things or questions there, but what do we think the way for council to observe and assess profile competencies in a prospective manager? I will say I looking at the profile. I know we've had it before, looking at it again now. It's a broader sense of what you're kind of casting the net out or looking for. And then I thought about the employment agreement, got down to some detail and finite things, the specificness that we may have wanted that were in the contract, so to speak. So, I think of this in a large sense, and then as that search comes to be, and as we have a person, there are some specific things that may be asked in that sense. That's just my one comment about when you look at the profile's real broad, because you're looking, and then when we find it, then you have to be specific. Questions or comments or thoughts from council? I think they're still taking it all in.
That's okay. We'll move forward.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
So when we look at the process with the tools that we've already highlighted, there are three key approaches, three key options and pathways that you could take. And really within each pathway, there's a great number of decisions and conversation that would have to take place. So one option, because you currently have an acting city manager, you could entertain what we would call an intentional interim period, which is different than the acting period. The acting period was designed, certainly we have the impression that it was put in the charter as it was, because you never want the organization to go without a point person with that city manager authority. And you took action right away, like the charter said, and at your last regular meeting, you appointed that acting manager. This is slightly different in that you could entertain and discuss having an intentional interim period and really elongate a period of time where there's an interim leader, interim city manager in place. Option 2 is really about an immediate search and hiring where you have the acting manager in place and you would want to launch an executive search, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more. And then option 3 is more of a combined approach where you'd have that interim period followed by a planned search period. The key piece to remember here, and I can't stress, I talk with HR, municipal HR leaders. We have all sorts of listservs where we ask questions, and through MML, we have networks. And you're in a place, certainly with any vacancy, there comes a natural sense of urgency that comes from the responsibility that you inherently have as council members. However, here in our situation, because you have an acting manager with a lot of talent in knowledge of the organization, it really brings down that urgency that you have. So you're really positioned from a place of strength instead of a place of urgency. So let's talk about an intentional interim period. So a deliberate interim period is a strategy. So rather than thinking of it as we're going to just fill this vacancy for a short amount of time, it's a very deliberate strategy. And one of the things that it does, amongst many, is it allows you more time to think about some of those pieces we've just talked about. It allows you more time to think in depth about the job description, about the profile, about some of those questions that were posed about, is there one particular trait or skill set that the next manager in this next season for the city, really you need that to be at the forefront and prioritized. It really does reduce the chance, because of that slowing down and taking a little bit more time to move through these pieces. It reduces the chance of a mishire at all. And I think also there's great value in the sense of regulating the organization. So when you're in the position that you're in and things are moving along productively, efficiently, and effectively, you can use this time to allow the organization to not experience the turbulence that sometimes is experienced when things are changing very rapidly. And then, of course, you will build time frames and expectations and evaluation around an interim period, because as we've discussed before, council is there, your job is to evaluate the city manager or whomever is acting in that role. So we mentioned the stabilization that can come with an intentional interim period. This is often organizations are using this strategy. It's not unheard of at all when it comes to organizations. In fact, sometimes an organization will even bring, if there's no internal interim candidates, they may even bring an external interim candidate. That's not the case here, but it's valued as a strategy that much. It allows you the time to reassess, have that in-depth conversation. So option two would be the immediate hiring and search. So we would want to, Mayor reference some history of filling this vacancy. There once was a format where a personnel committee handled it. There's been a format where the entire council has been part of the hiring process. There are times when it's a facilitated search and a person is hired to come in and conduct the search. So those are all options for you to think about. Both involve actually timelines that would have to be established by both, and both would involve updating the competencies. If you want any changes to the job description, that would be important as well. So before we move on to option 3, which is really more of a blend of both options 1 and 2, I thought it would be helpful to check in with you on options 1 and 2 to see if you have any thoughts on those, or if you see any strengths or weaknesses of those approaches.
Thank you. Any thoughts or questions from council? On the, obviously, the first two that were presented as possible options, or at least for a conversation or consideration. Oh, Michelle.
Gonna say anything. I am comfortable with option 1 right now. First I want to know is, do we have an interest? Because I have not heard either way. But with option 1 right now, I think we can continue to learn the behaviors that we want to see. I don't have a timeline on that, of course.
Thank you.
But
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to start for right now, if everybody else is comfortable with that.
Okay.
Comments or questions or thoughts? It's kind of quiet. I made a comment earlier. I'm going to kind of go back that again to the one of the first searches. There was an urgency, and I think that really kind of moved forward to an immediate search. I don't feel that same urgency, only because I know that what we as a council and as a staff have built over the years, knowing that we have department managers that are doing well, and some have stepped up, and the employees after them have stepped up. You know, I'd be looking to take more time in consideration, rather than just kind of throwing the net out for a large search until we really get some more information and see how we're progressing. Obviously, if that urgency came up, then we'd have to reconvene and consider that. But I don't see that happening. I'm close to where Michelle's at. I think the same. I think the interim allows us to continue. I think that where we are also in our term, starting in the first part of the term, we're just kind of getting into some of our goals and objectives. Some have been achieved. Others are the priority, and I think making a transition, we could all of a sudden get a different concept or thought process that might start to have that conversation with council about the goals and objectives. I mean, we'd almost start over, where I think we have a good start for the year. Here we're, 4 months in plus, and I think that we have the time to do this during this term of office for all of us, that I think will keep us on track. I think if not, I think transitioning at this time with a search, I think would be, everybody would take a pause on some things. I think about our employees, and I think they are continuing very well in the duties. I think about us as council. Our focus could be totally different of, then trying, interviews and process, and it gives us the time also with our acting manager and those see those responses and duties as well. So that's kind of where I'm at. I think that it's probably a little premature to do a search, but that's just my thought.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mike.
Just want to say I agree wholeheartedly, not only in the staff, but the acting city manager. I think there's no need to rush into anything. I think we're fully have a confident staff to keep the day-to-day operations going.
Other thoughts? Oh, Deb, go ahead, please.
So do we know if Mark is interested in this?
So that's a great question, and actually, as we as I was doing some planning for the conversation, I anticipated you might ask that question. So I had the opportunity to have a conversation with Mr. Cochran, and much like you heard in the last meeting. When Mr. Buds was talking about the options you had between Mr. Sell and Mr. Cochran and everybody's willingness, but Mr. Cochran being the one who stepped up at that time, Mr. Cochran is very willing to entertain an interim period. For interestingly, in our conversation, it was very much for a lot of the same reasons that you've mentioned regarding the goals, the objectives, the momentum, the orientation toward progress. So yes.
Other thoughts or questions? As we continue, I see the screen is on to 3 with just so we get all of that was being presented before we go further. Thank you.
Sure, sure. So I think this brings us really naturally to a point in the conversation where how do these, they don't have to be done in isolation. They could be blended, and it's very commonly, especially when there's internal stability in leadership, it's very common that there is a blended model that an organization can put forward. So this combined approach really takes an intentional interim period, but puts a backstop of time to it. To then you could define what a search would look like after that, or what does the transition look like after that interim approach. So you bring the strengths of both options, 1 and 2, together into this blended, more of a hybrid type of option. So this might be an example of what it looks like. It is an example of what a combined approach looks like. So in May, you could declare that there's a city manager succession structure that's going to be a defined interim period, followed by, at the end of that interim period, there would be a decision made regarding how we move forward with the hiring process. So you would look at this period between now and the end of the calendar year, and that keeps us in a cycle with how the city manager evaluation would typically work. It worked on a calendar year. If an interim was appointed, you'd have the time and the space that Councilwoman Germaini was speaking of to really observe and study, ask questions, ask for more information if you needed more information to be ready for that decision that you would be making at the end of the calendar year in December. And then it would put us at prior to the new year in 2027, really having that plan all really built out so that we would know exactly how we would be heading into that next chapter for the city. Many benefits that we've already discussed, and so many that you have brought up. It would also allow us, we're in the middle of a wage and compensation study. As you know from our previous conversations, it allows that also to be completed. The city manager role is one of those positions in that study. So we would also have that market competitiveness information to also look at. We also, in addition, we talked about progress and operations being smooth. We have a pretty big project amongst many other big projects with bargaining that's going to be happening. And again, the continuity that Mayor spoke of is only an asset during any kind of collective negotiation time. And it also allows you, like an external search would allow you to really evaluate candidates through their materials that they turn into you. You can have the opportunity to evaluate internal candidates by what you'll be experiencing as city council and with an interim manager working. You'll just like in our other hiring processes, we often bring the candidates in to do exercises, performance exercises, or invite them in to the office environments or the plant environments so that they can be part of that experience, and that's part of their evaluation. This approach would give you the opportunity to do the same, and we find that very valuable. So with our recommendation as far as how to move forward, evaluating the organization, evaluating what we see both in the market and internally, we do think, I believe the combined approach is an approach for council to really have some discussion and thought over. Again, going back to the gift of not being in an urgent situation and having operations continue. Certainly, all the work we've done with the restructuring and having the city manager and 2 assistant managers, and then in every department trying to build succession planning. This interim approach really is very similar to when you think about our conversations about water and the water department and the utilities and having that assistant and interims within there. So this is not uncommon. It's just a different area to think about it in. So some draft steps for the combined approach for you to consider would be looking at continuing with that calendar year routine that we've developed for the evaluation period of the city manager. Council could entertain appointing an interim city manager with the same job description, and there would be an employment agreement that you would have to approve for an interim manager. You would have to authorize myself and Attorney Buds to move forward in generating that interim employment agreement. Then we'd bring all of that back to you as we do with any non-union hire. So after that, if you were to make that decision at the subsequent meeting, you would see on the agenda the resolution for that employment agreement, and you would have the opportunity to consider it at that time. Then during that interim time, there would be routines built around city manager, council communication. We could look at the end of the quarter. That typically would have been a checkpoint for a manager evaluation. We could look at it as a time to have conversation for you to let the interim manager know what's going well, what you'd like to see adjusted, and have a great dialogue there that in the end could inform a hiring process very much. And then we could, near the end of the calendar year, or if council decided in a different timeline, even before that, could decide what the next steps formally need to be for the hiring and timeline for onboarding of the next city manager. So that's a draft of what it could look like, and that is our recommendation this evening. But again, we would love to hear what your thoughts are, and certainly are open to adjusting that to meet your needs.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from council? Kathy?
So I agree with not looking at number 2 at the moment. I feel comfortable with 1 or 3. But in 3, do we have to define what that like window is? That you talked about, like the interim till the end of the year. Is that something that we have to make a decision on now? Or can we say it'll be interim for the next 2 months and then we'll reevaluate if we want to extend it?
You could set up, it's really council's prerogative as to how you would set that up. I would recommend that if there's not a set backstop, that there's, defined intervals to check in. Mhm.
Other questions or comments? So Kathy, on your point, I think that because, if you set a time frame as was stated here, One thing I did like in the process was there is the evaluation period of time. And I think it, in an interim is, and there's, if I understand correctly, there's still going to be kind of a contractual relationship
That's
for the interim. And it'll be an interim versus a manager hire. It's there's no acting title, but it is interim. And we set the time frame for what we think is going to be that we want to evaluate in. That doesn't mean we have to, you said 2 months in and say, okay, I need to look at this differently. I think that's always an option that the council has. It's not something that we give away with a time frame, but we are setting a time frame for a contractual relationship. And I think, as Dr. Early said, would kind of has it's the backstop.
If I may, Mayor.
Yes.
Also, I would indicate, there's always flexibility in that, even with the contractual relationship that Mayor was speaking of, if the contractual relationship ever, council wanted to extend it so that it went further into, say, 2027 for as an example, as long as it was mutually agreed upon by both parties, that's certainly a lot of flexibility there.
Michelle?
What would say a quarterly evaluation look like? Is it different from what we went through with the city manager at the time, or would it be similar to that?
No, I think it could look different in an interim period, most definitely. And actually, even the evaluation that we had done in 2026, we were ready to make some talk together and make some revisions to that. So I think the process is a very open-ended one. And I think the most important qualities of those check-ins are that you're getting the information and in the communication that you need, and be it a permanent city manager or an interim, they're getting the information and communication that they need to meet your goals.
Other questions? Comments? Okay. We'll see if there's others. Oh, I'm sorry, Deb.
We're about to the end of the presentation.
We are. We are.
So I'm all in agreement to take this to the end of the year to put him as interim. I think it will benefit not only us, but the citizens of our of the city. And I'd like to see that put on tonight's meeting.
So I got, I guess, a question to that then. The time frame gets us to, as you, I think, pointed out well through the year. But as a combination, it doesn't mean that if the council wanted to, even with that, started to think we may get to the end of that time frame and want to be prepared for a search, that we're not just waiting till the end of the year, that there may be something that with council's input of what that might look like if we would choose to do so at the end of the interim period, right?
Absolutely.
We're not just going to wait. We because you said, and you talked about the items that were going on, but it allows for that. I know it's one of those pages there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says about, you start some of the process, start some of the groundwork without putting to where you're going to just post it. It's having an idea. I think I appreciate you saying you're reviewing the performance review structure we had. I think there's some adjustments we can make there as well. I know it's there's a lot to it, and maybe that could be somewhat streamlined in the fashion of how we do those as well. So I think there's things we can do in the interim, Deb. I agree with you. I think that the time frame is right for me anyways, when I look at having an interim, knowing that there's other things that still will go on. Deb?
I think that we could, every couple months, take a look at how things are progressing and have the communication, and if we find that it's not working for us or what have you, then maybe, to have a talk with Julie and go from there. But I kind of don't think that's gonna be necessary, but I think this is always a good thing in any
any corporation or company that, succession is always a good thing. And I think I'm pretty confident with Mark's ability.
I appreciate you saying that because I know that when we talk about succession planning, it's been in our goals and objectives of the past couple terms and how important I think and how we've had success because of that. I think of Councilman Felder and Andrew talking about, but as we face this is, well, what's our plan, right? And so you want to know where you're going. Otherwise, if you don't know where you're going, then you're making decisions just kind of in the short term. This allows for a longer term through the year decision, but doesn't give up the groundwork, so to speak, for what that plan may look like at the end of the year. And it could be a continuance. It could be we have a structure. It could be a search. It could not be a search. It could be something that's changed to where that what we're going to put out is that the acting manager says, well, thanks, but I think what you've put out is not maybe where I'm at either. So all those things I think get discussed. But I agree with you, Deb. I think that we're in a good position to be able to at least get through the year, knowing that we have our opportunities to have the input. And if we so desire, that's the council's decision to say when we decide to transition. But I think it's important to have that thought process of where we're going to be at the time frame that we get there at the end of the year. And that's the planning process, at least of keeping that in the forefront as we go forward.
Right. In a lot of our strategic planning that we do around your goals and objectives, we start with, we talk a lot about timelines on projects. And it's so important for us internally, what we find is to have a timeline from which to be flexible. So we have that framework. And then if we need to be flexible and compress it or, elongate it, then at least we've had that, what we've intended. That's our starting point. But Mayor, you're absolutely, in terms of starting from the position of strength and council having that flexibility either way, you absolutely have that.
Other questions or comments? Kelly.
Thank you, Director. I might have missed this if you brought it up. Number 4 on the draft for combined approach, council interim city manager communication. Can you explain that to me a little bit? Is it just communicating steps 1 through 3, or is it us communicating with each other?
Yep, no, I'm glad you asked. So once an intentional interim period is put into place, you'll want to work with the manager, and the interim manager, I think, has already established some communication patterns with council. And so to give the interim manager feedback on those communications, what you like about them, if you need them adjusted at all, we want to make sure you have a time to talk with the manager about that. So it would be, in this scenario, May through December, we threw out the idea of quarterly check-ins. It could be more frequent, it could be less frequent. You may be checking in a different way, but that's what's meant by ongoing council interim city manager communication.
Okay, thank you.
See any other? So Deb, I just want to go back to you because you made a comment about wanting to move forward. Okay. So it's really up to the council then is when we do that, is correct?
That's correct.
It could come as quickly as this evening. I know it's not on the agenda, but it could be.
Yes, that's correct.
I kind of think from hearing everybody, the conversations and that, I think that we're all in agreement to, put this on our 7:30 meeting and go from there and making Mark the interim till the end of the year, or, until we take all the steps that are necessary.
Of course, I know the clerk, and the city attorney. I guess if that's an item as we get there, we'll get some guidance there as well, how that's done as we move forward. All right. There's no other questions? Unless Mr. Budge had something for right now?
I do not. I can talk about when we get to the 7:30 meeting, a motion if there's a desire for that for some language.
Well, thank you, everyone. And that's the first part of our special meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Everly. Appreciate it. Clerk Lavoy, we have a second item here this evening for our special meeting.
Yes, we do. We have consideration to enter into closed executive session for the purpose of labor negotiations.
Okay, I'll just look at Mr. Buzz. Other than what it says, that's what you're looking for is a motion, correct?
That would be an appropriate motion.
Okay, it's to councils for a motion.
Your Honor,
Yes,
I'd
Councilman
like to
Felder.
make a motion that we go into closed executive session for the purpose of labor negotiations.
Motion by Councilman Felder, supported by Councilwoman Stringham to go into closed executive session for labor negotiations. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Stringham? Yes. Felder? Yes. Hayter? Yes. Stilgrave? Yes. Vining? Yes. Germaine? Yes. Mayor Clark?
Yes. We need a motion to go back into open session.
Motion that we go back into open session.
There's a motion by Councilman Felder, supported by Councilwoman Germaine, to go back into open session. All in favor, say aye. Aye. We do have a quorum, and we need a motion to adjourn the special meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the special meeting.
Support.
Motion by Councilman Felder, supported by Councilman Hayter to go, to adjourn the special meeting.
I can call it real quick. Councilperson Stringham? Felder?
Yes.
Hayter? Stillgrave? Vining? Jermaine? Mayor Clark?
Yes, and Councilwoman Stringham to adjourn.
Yes.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. We're adjourned, and we have about 2 minutes before the 7:30 council meeting. As we finished up this special meeting earlier in these some moments, at this time, I'll call the city council meeting to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Stringham? Here. Felder? Here. Hader? Here. Stillgrave?
Here.
Vining? Here. Jermaine? Here. Mayor Clark?
I'd ask we all please rise for the invocation, remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
We join together this evening and work together to bring prosperity and forward momentum to all in our community.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, next item, please.
The next item is the approval of the regular agenda.
Acting Manager Cochran, let's see, I did that last week, and I'm not going to do it again. Mr. Cochran,
Administration has no updates for the agenda this evening.
any items from the agenda for council? Councilwoman Stillgrave.
I move that we approve the agenda as presented with an additional item, the appointment of the interim city manager as the final item on council action.
There's any other comments from the agenda? Okay, there's a motion to approve the regular agenda from Councilwoman Stillgrave, supported by Councilman Hader, with the addition of putting a action item at the conclusion of the meeting regarding the interim city manager position. Correct? Mr. Buds, that suffice? Okay. Any questions? Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Stringham?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Hader? Yes. Stillgrave?
Yes.
Vining?
Yes.
Jermaine?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes. Next item, please.
The next item is the consent agenda, and for item B, approval of payments to vendors, the amount should read $1,356,136.13, 1356136.13.
Thank you. Are there any items on the consent agenda that council wishes to have pulled for further discussion? Items from city council. Any items on the consent agenda those present here this evening wish to have pulled for further discussion? Items on the consent agenda, if not pulled for, if they are pulled for discussion, would go to the conclusion of the meeting to have discussion from those present. If not, all the items on the consent agenda will be passed within one motion. So any items on the consent agenda, those present here this evening wish to have pulled for further discussion? Seeing none, motion would be in order. Councilman Felder.
Yes, Your Honor. I'll make a motion that all items on the consent agenda be accepted, placed on file, recommendations carried out, and resolutions adopted.
Support.
Motion by Councilman Felder, supported by Councilwoman Stringham, that all items on the consent agenda be accepted, placed on file, recommendations carried out, and resolutions adopted. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Stringham?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Hader? Yes. Stillgrave?
Yes.
Vining?
Yes.
Jermaine?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Next item, please.
The next item on the agenda is under presentations, communications, and public hearings, item 5871, Historic District Commission Annual Report.
Thank you, Acting Manager Cochran.
Yes, so in the enabling ordinance that established the Historic District Commission, they're required by July of every year to provide City Council with an overview of their activities from the prior year. And so at the April meeting of the Historic District Commission, they reviewed the report that's included in your agenda this evening and approved that to pass on to you just for as a communication to you.
Thank you. No other discussion. Clerk, next item.
I just want to clarify, so we don't need a motion to accept that? It was on the agenda, so I just want to double check.
It's on there with a item to say movement to accept and place on file,
Okay.
so I think a motion to do so.
So we
would be
need a
appropriate.
motion regarding Historic District Commission Annual Report. Councilman Hader.
I make a motion to accept and place on file the 2025 Historic District Commission Annual Report.
So a motion by Councilman Hader, supported by Councilwoman Vining on the Historic District Commission Annual Report to be accepted. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Stringham?
Yes.
Felder? Hayter? Stillgrave?
Yes.
Vining?
Yes.
Jermaine?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes. Next item, please.
The next item is item 5885, public hearing on the proposed CDBG 2026-2031 Consolidated Plan and 2026 through 2027 Annual Action Plan.
Thank you. Acting Manager Cochran, any comments? If not, I'll start the public meeting.
Just an introduction to the item is what the purpose of the public hearing is. So as council's aware, every year we receive an allocation through the Community Development Block Grant program through HUD, the Federal Housing and Urban Development Administration. And there are certain parameters and uses for what we can use those funds for. So part of the process that we're required to follow as part of our annual allocation is to have 2 public hearings on both the consolidated plan, which outlines the program goals for the next 5 years, as well as the annual action plan, which lays out how we plan to use the funds for the upcoming program year. And so we did hold the first public hearing on March 16th, so tonight's the final public hearing before consideration of approving both of those documents in the under council action.
Very good. At this time, I'll open the public hearing on item 5885, public hearing for the proposed CDBG 2026-2031 Consolidated Plan and the 2026-2027 Annual Action Plan. Any comments here this evening regarding this public hearing? Yes, sir. Please step forward and your name and jurisdiction of residence.
Casper Mundy, 712 West 6th Street, Monroe, Michigan. I just want to ask you a question about that consolidated plan. What are they planning on doing there? Building buildings or something?
Acting Manager
He was
Cochran?
speaking of HUD, so.
Yes, sir. So the consolidated plan lays out there are certain broad uses which we can use those funds for in accordance with the HUD guidelines. And generally what we have dedicated those funds for is homelessness prevention and using funds for eviction prevention and foreclosure prevention funds through both Monroe County Opportunity Program and Legal Services of South Central Michigan to help support those who may be facing those situations. We also have the FIX program, which is a home rehabilitation program where we work with property owners to rehabilitate their homes and direct a certain amount of funds for that use. And then we also have a down payment assistance program that we provide future homeowners with down payment assistance for the purchase of their future house. And then we also, we do have funds that are available for public infrastructure improvements within qualified census tracts. And so we look at things like streets, roads, alleyways improvements, sidewalks, and park improvements within those permitted areas as well.
Okay, there's another question I want to ask about that HUD money. Is that going for, you said you could use it for other funds and things. Is that going for homeless people or what?
So what we use it for is homeless prevention, which is those who may be facing eviction or foreclosure. We fund directly Legal Services of South Central Michigan and also Monroe County Opportunity Program to help support those individuals. But we don't provide direct assistance to individuals through the city. We help fund the agencies who address those issues.
Well, I don't know. It sounds a little fuzzy to me. Thank you.
Comments? Other comments for the public hearing? Councilwoman Vining?
Acting City Manager, we had talked in the past about developing a process for the first-time home buyer assistance. Had we completed that at this point?
So we've begun to stand up the program and develop the program regulations and procedures for that. It is available. However, at this point, because we allocate funds primarily to public services, which are the agencies that we help support in infrastructure, there is a smaller amount that we can offer for down payment assistance, and oftentimes the need is a little larger. So we've been saving up funds to help make that program more impactful. And I know Caitlin McBriarty is our CDBG guru that we have in our department. Also, the struggle is the cap that we have on public services and those direct funds that we can provide to residents for support is capped at only 15% of our annual allocation. So we're very limited into how much we can fund that program. But we do, I know Deputy Director Vanasacker and Caitlin have worked with lending institutions to help make them aware of the procedure as well. So still a bit in the process of standing it up and publishing those procedures, but also the smaller amount, it's been harder for people to take advantage of those funds too.
So just for clarification, there is no application process at this time, and we're working to save that pot, so that money rolls over?
Correct, yep.
Okay, so are you targeting around the $10,000 mark like
Yeah.
most institutions are doing?
Yep.
Or-
hmm
Okay, any idea, when,
Year with the HUD app appropriation that we received this year.
thank you.
Any other comments for the public hearing? I'll close the public hearing. Clerk, next item, please.
The next item is under council action, item 5886, 2026-2031, CDBG Consolidated Plan and 2026-27 Annual Action Plan Adoption.
Thank you. Actor Manager Cochran, anything additional?
Just one item in the fact sheet that was in the agenda this evening. It mentioned that we hadn't received our allocation yet, but we estimated that we were going to receive a certain amount. On April 8th, we did actually receive the notification from the HUD administrator or HUD secretary that we received the funds this year, and it was exactly what we predicted.
Thank you. Councilwoman Stilgrave.
I move to adopt the Community Development Block Grant 2026 to 2031 Consolidated Plan and 2026 to 2027 Annual Action Plan.
Support.
Motion by Councilwoman Stilgrave, supported by Councilwoman Stringham on item 5886, the 2026-31 CDBG Consolidated Plan and the 2026-2027 Annual Action Plan Adoption. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Stringham?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Hayter?
Yes.
Yes.
Jermaine?
Yes,
Mayor Clark?
Yes. Next item, please.
The next item is item 5898, approval of ALCC lease agreement and service agreement with MCLS.
Acting Manager Cochran.
Yes, so this item goes back to February when we first presented the draft lease agreements for the occupants and operators of the ALCC, the Navarre Library, and also the Learning Bank for the expansion of the facility. City Council had previously approved the agreements with Monroe Public Schools for the Learning Bank and also with the Monroe County Opportunity Program for the Opportunity Center. And this evening for your consideration is a very similar lease agreement with the Monroe County Library System. And the reason theirs took a little bit longer is we've been working with Director Nancy Belair, who's in the audience with us tonight, because we also have a service agreement with the library system for the two branches that are within the city, the Navarre branch and also the Dorsch branch. And so we worked very closely with her to make sure that both of the agreements were in alignment with each other and complemented each other. And so in your packet this evening is actually the lease agreement and a revised service agreement with the library system. And the primary change being the utility payments for the Navarre branch. Previously, the city provided the library system funds to pay those utilities, and then they paid them directly to the utility provider. But in the revised budget this year, the city will be paying the utilities for the entire building rather than allocating those out to the different operators. However, for the Dorsch Library, that delivery will still remain the same, where we fund the library system a certain level of funding as approved in the budget last month, where they will continue to pay the utilities for Dorsch. So just a couple minor tweaks to the existing service agreement that we had in place, I think, since 2018 or so. So it was due for an upgrade as well. But making sure that these were aligned with all the other operators as well as the service agreement that we have with the library system, which is pretty standard for all of their branches across Monroe County.
Thank you. Any questions for Acting Manager Cochran?
Make motion.
Councilwoman Germaine.
Thank you. Move that City Council approves the lease agreement with Monroe County Library System and authorizes the mayor and clerk treasurer to execute the agreement on behalf of the city.
There's a motion by Councilwoman Germaine, supported by Councilman Hayter on item 5898, the approval of the ALCC lease agreement and service agreement with Monroe County Library System. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Stringham? Yes. Fowler?
Yes.
Hader? Yes. Steelgrave?
Yes.
Vining? Yes. Germaine? Yes. Mayor Clark?
Yes. Next item, please.
The next item is item 5879, wastewater corrective action plan, footing drain disconnection program, phase 7.
Thank you. Acting Manager Cochran, any comments on this?
So the city's had an ongoing process with the footing drain disconnection program in accordance with our corrective action plan that we have for the wastewater system, where the city provides footing disconnects for the different addresses where it's identified it needs to be replaced. Previously, as council may recall, there was a cost share, but recently the city has absorbed the cost through the wastewater system to make those disconnect programs possible and feasible. And we have until 2032. So tonight on your agenda, the process is the staff, the utility staff actually visit each site, develop the specifications, and then work with the contractor to come up with the bid to actually complete the work. And so this project tonight is for 14 locations that are laid out in your packet this evening to proceed with Larry Rourke to proceed with the footing drain disconnect program.
Thank you. Is there any questions? If not, Councilwoman Stringham.
I'll make a motion. Move that City Council approve the 14 locations dated April 1st, 2026 in the total amount of $149,500 with Larry Rourke LLC to perform the CAPFDD Program Phase 7 project as outlined in his proposals. That up to $172,000 be approved for the project to allow for a 15% contingency. That the Director of Engineering and Public Services, Interim Director of Water and Wastewater Utilities, or his designee, be authorized to sign all necessary documents on behalf of the City of Monroe. And that the Director of Finance be authorized to appropriate costs to the correct fiscal year, including advancing funding from reserves as needed.
Support.
There's a motion by Councilwoman Stringham, supported by Councilwoman Germaine on item 5879, the wastewater corrective action plan, footer drain disconnection program, phase 7. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Stringham?
Yes.
Fowler?
Yes.
Hader? Yes. Steelgrave?
Yes.
Vining?
Yes.
Germaine?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes. Please.
Next item is item 5888, first reading and scheduling of a public hearing for ordinance 26-006 to amend chapter 199.
Thank you. Acting Manager Cochran.
Yes, so this is another culmination of a lot of work and discussion on behalf of City Council and City Administration in line with one of your goals and objectives, which is an issue that many communities across the state of Michigan are dealing with right now, and that's the rise in the usage of e-bikes. And so April 20th, we had a work session where we talked about a final set of draft amendments that were both provided by the Bicycle and Pedestrian Trail Advisory Commission, as well as a few conversations that we had together. And so the revisions are up for their first reading tonight and schedule a public hearing in the second reading and adoption at the May 18th meeting. But just a note of one change to this ordinance in particular since that April 20th work session, and that is highlighted in 199-3, which is the use on the roadway, and we added the language that anybody who's using a multimodal device like this has to follow all the state laws and regulations and use of the road as well, just to make sure that that's clear to users on the roadway. That was the only change since April 20th.
There's no questions, a motion? Councilwoman Stringham.
I have a The City Council place proposed ordinance 26-006 on the floor for its first reading and schedule a public hearing and second reading for Monday, May 18th, 2026 at 7:30 PM.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Stringer, supported by Councilwoman Stillgrave on item 5888, the first reading scheduled public hearing ordinance 26-006 to amend chapter 199. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Stringham?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Hayter? Yes. Stillgrave?
Yes.
Vining? Jermaine?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes.
Ordinance 26-006, Chapter 199, Bicycles, Skateboards, and Skates, an ordinance to amend Chapter 199, Bicycles, Skateboards, and Skates of the Code of City of Monroe.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, next item.
Next item is 5890, schedule public hearing on proposed park rules amendment on e-bikes.
Acting Manager Cochran?
So this is the second piece of policy and legislation as part of the e-bike regulation package. And this pertains to the park rules and regulations. So you may recall park rules and regulations are a policy of the city council, not an ordinance. So typically you don't have to have a public hearing when you amend policies of city council. And we did make an update to this as well since the April 20th in response to some of the feedback that we heard. And that is a modification to rule number 9, that e-bikes and micromobility devices shall be permitted on trailways unless otherwise posted, and still requiring the same speed limit. So this, we revised the language that the different trail networks that we have across the city are made up of different material, whether they're paved or unpaved. And rather than get into an across-the-board policy, leave it in a position where we can prohibit it based on signage by the unique characteristics of each trailway. And so that modification was made. And the reason we do need to have a public hearing is because the Michigan Motor Vehicle Code requires that anytime a local unit of government is going to adopt a regulation pertaining to e-bikes, you must have a public hearing on the item. So because this park rule is a regulation that surrounds e-bikes, we're required to have a public hearing before finalizing and approving them.
If there's no questions, Councilman Hayter.
I move to schedule a public hearing on May 18th, 2026 at 7:30 PM on the proposed amendment to the park rules pertaining to e-bikes.
It's a motion by Councilman Hayter, supported by Councilwoman Stillgrave on item 5890, the schedule the public hearing for proposed park rules amendments on e-bikes. Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Hayter? Stillgrave?
Yes.
Vining? Jermaine? Mayor Clark?
Yes.
The next item is item 5884, authorization to submit grant application to MDNR and resolution of support.
Thank you. Acting Manager Cochran.
So this is another grant application we're seeking council's approval to submit for. And Caitlin, our grant extraordinaire, is in the audience, as is Director Patrick Lewis, who are working on this. But every year, the DNR has an urban forestry assistance grant that we typically have applied for every year. And with the Tree Advisory Commission, one of their desires is to update the tree inventory and the condition analysis, which we have not done since 2014. So if you're familiar, one of the layers that we have publicly available in our GIS is an inventory where you can click on every tree that's owned by the city across the city, look at what the species is, look at what the condition is. And a lot of work goes into not only doing those inventories, but also keeping them up. And so we're asking for permission to apply for $75,000 to complete that analysis and inventory this evening. There is no local match requirement for this project either, but it is one of the recommended goals with the Tree Advisory Commission. And again, something we haven't done since 2014.
Any questions? If not, a motion. Councilwoman Jermaine.
Move to grant authorization for the Economic and Community Development Department to submit the Michigan Department of Natural Resources Urban and Community Forestry Assistance Grant Program application and approve the resolution of support.
Support.
So motion by Councilwoman Jermaine, supported by Councilwoman Stringham. Item 5884, authorization to submit grant application to the MDNR and resolution of support. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Stringham?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Hayter? Stillgrave? Vining. Jermaine.
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes. Next item, please.
Approval, item 5892, approval of MOU with Michigan Department of Treasury for High Sub-Area Master Plan.
Acting Manager Cochran.
So one of the other goals the city council had was to do a sub-area master plan for the high property, which is the 135 acres that is north of Mason Run and south of Greenwood. It's actually one that was on your agenda previously tonight because we have an agreement with a farmer to farm and maintain that for us while it's vacant. You approved that this evening. But the last meeting, you approved a contract with Sencar Consulting Group, C2G, which is our planning consultant, to develop a master plan on what that property could be developed for in the future, primarily targeting residential housing, as we look toward the economic and community development of the future for our city. But you may be aware, we've maintained a relationship with the Department of Treasury and their Community Services Division, talking about the future economic opportunities and positions of the city and how they can help us as we prepare for the eventual decommissioning of the DTE Monroe Power Plant. And they do have funding that they've been providing to us, as well as technical assistance. The last funding that they gave us helped fund the residential market analysis, which we presented thanks to the work of Land Use USA and Sharon Woods last year. And so they have offered, and we are recommending that we accept $75,000 from them to help offset the costs of the development of that sub-area master plan. And the memorandum of understanding just lays out the terms for those funds, but also very similar, the exact same agreement that we had on the residential market analysis as well.
Any further questions? If not, a motion for action. Councilman Hayter.
I move to approve the memorandum of understanding with the Michigan Department of Treasury Community Service Division for funding to complete the sub-area master plan for the high property and authorize the acting city manager to execute the agreement on behalf of the city, and further authorize the assistant city manager, finance director to complete the necessary budget amendments.
Motion by Councilman Hayter, supported by Councilwoman Stillgrave on item 5892, approval of the MOU with the Michigan Department of Treasury for the High Sub-Area Master Plan. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Stringham?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Hayter?
Yes.
Stillgrave?
Yes.
Vining? Jermaine?
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes. Please.
5891, acceptance of St. Mary Academy pre-development funding grant from Monroe County.
Acting Manager Cochran.
So in the last meeting, we discussed an update on the St. Mary Academy redevelopment with the Brownfield Plan and other activities. And these are funds last 2 weeks ago at the Monroe County Board of Commissioners in accordance with the Monroe County Link 2.0 plan that the county would like to join us in the partnership for the redevelopment of that property. And so using the interest that they've earned on their ARPA funds, they are offering a $750,000 grant to the city to help provide some of the pre-development activities for the redevelopment of the project that include structural engineering, mechanical engineering, site plan development, historic rehabilitation planning. And so the agenda item tonight is to accept that grant, and the agreement included that Monroe County has provided to us. And then the next step is on your next agenda, we anticipate having a subrecipient grant agreement with KM Cornerstone that would outline the use and procedures for those funds.
For Acting Manager Cochran. If not, a motion would be in order. Stringham.
Move to approve the grant agreement with Monroe County for $750,000 pre-development support of the former St. Mary Academy redevelopment, and authorize the acting city manager to execute the agreement on behalf of the city, and authorize the assistant city manager, finance director to complete the necessary budget amendment.
Support.
Motion by Councilwoman Stringham, supported by Councilwoman Stillgrave on item 5891, acceptance of the St. Mary Academy pre-development funding grant from Monroe County. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Stringham?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Hayter? Stillgrave?
Yes.
Vining? Jermaine?
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes. Next item, please.
The next item is the additional item It is to consider the appointment of the interim city manager position.
Thank you. Councilwoman Councilwoman Stillgrave, any comments from our work session we had earlier?
No, I think I'd just like to make the motion, if that's okay.
Sure.
I move that we name Mark Cochran the interim city manager, that we continue quarterly evaluations and direct the Director of Human Resources and City Attorney to arrange for preparation of an interim manager employment agreement and for council's consideration at the next meeting.
Support.
There's a motion by Councilwoman Stillgrave, supported by Councilwoman Stringham, regarding the interim city manager position as described. I'll see if there's any comments or questions from council, as it's an item that's added. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Stringham?
Yes.
Felder? Yes. Hayter?
Yes.
Stillgrave? Yes. Vining?
Yes.
Germaine?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes. Next item, please.
I have no further items.
It's council comments, and it is now May. Councilwoman Stringham, first off, before you start, city attorney Buds, I think you may have a comment regarding comments.
I just asked, Your Honor, if I could have just a brief moment, because it's been a couple of meetings since you had reappointed me as the city attorney, and I just wanted to say thank you for all of that. Also wanted to say it's especially, I guess I'll say thankful at this point, because I think some of you may know I've been able to purchase property back in the city, move my family back. We're in the process of that, and I will say it's been a long time coming. I think for those of you that know, my first house that I bought was in Precinct 5, and we're returning to Precinct 5, and that should be over the next couple of weeks that we conclude that. So I'm very happy, and I wanted to say thankful also of that. So thank you for our continued relationship and your confidence in me.
Thank you. Now, Councilwoman Stringham, comments, please.
Yeah, I would just like to say the Precinct 5 welcomes Attorney Buds to the neighborhood. I also wanted to, speaking of the neighborhood, St. Mary's Academy is in my precinct. It's very close to my house. It's been interesting watching this. You know, at first you hear about redevelopment, there's a lot of unknowns, but I'm so thankful for the direction that it's going. And I was very glad to see another grant towards that. Some of our goals are for increasing housing, and that whole project, it's just hard to wrap your head around how big the project is. And I'm very thankful for all of the work that everybody's doing to keep moving that forward.
Thank you. Councilman Felder.
Thank you, Your Honor. I was happy to come out to Arbor Day and plant some trees with the kids at Manor Elementary again this year. So I think, to keep it brief, that's all I have. Thank you.
Councilman Hayter.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just one thing. I want to congratulate Richard Dick Turner on being inducted to the Monroe Labor Hall of Fame this past Friday. He's a 53-year member of Labor's Local 465/499 and served on many capacities here in Monroe. And just want to congratulate Dick on that.
Thank you. Councilwoman Stillgrave.
I have a few things, Your Honor.
Yes.
Congratulations, Mark. We can't wait to see how this all goes. Also, this week is Nurses Week, Teachers Week, and next Sunday is Mother's Day. And then Wednesday night at the battlefield, Monroe Public Schools Gen Z is doing their business things. They're developing stuff and that. And last year I was a keynote speaker there, but this Wednesday night they're doing it a little differently. And they really make some great things. And you can participate in all that, so it's pretty cool. And also, Saturday night is the gala for the 100 years for United Way. And that's a pretty big deal. I will be there. And they do a lot of great work in this community. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Councilwoman Vining.
Thank you, Your Honor. I don't know how many know, but we talked about the Navarre Branch Library lease this evening, and our last day in the temporary location on East 4th Street, open to the public, will be May 8th. And so I wanted to publicly thank the Oaks of Righteousness, Oaks Village, for allowing us to be in that location for over a year now. I'm one who has a hard time with change, so I'm just now getting used to being there. And now we get to go into this huge new facility. So I just wanted to let the public know that May 8th would be our last day open to the public there. And then we're going to start, we have a lot of technical things and just basic flat out moving from one location to the other. And yeah, I wanted to thank the Oaks again for working with our library director who's here this evening, Nancy, to ensure that we had a place during the building of this new facility. Otherwise, we would have been without those services for over a year. So we're excited. We're going to start getting packed up and getting moved in. And yeah, just wanted to thank them and Nancy for working with the Oaks to make the deal so that our children and our community had continuing library services. And we really look forward to what more we're going to be able to do in this new facility. So Nancy's here. She could speak for herself, but I just wanted to thank Oaks again for that.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
Your Honor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Germaini.
Thank you. I also want to congratulate Mark. Looking forward to what the future is going to hold for everybody. It'll be exciting. And also remind everyone, tomorrow's a voting day, and even though there's only one thing on the ballot, it is a very important item on the ballot, and it's worth it to go out and vote because it concerns the education of the kids, the adults, everyone. So get out and vote, and that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a couple of comments. I'll say, Councilman Felder, it was enjoyable on Arbor Day, and Councilwoman Stringer to be out there and plant trees. And of course, I want to thank the community that came out after the day in which we planted at the school. The community came out and helped plant another 35 trees. And it was a good turnout. And I want to thank the people from the River Basin Watershed Council that showed up as well in their functions that they do. So I want to recognize here over the past weekend on May 1st and 2nd, the Lions Club International, which we have branches here in the city. This group in both Wayne and Monroe County held their celebration of service. This year's convention, that was the theme, and was held at the Monroe County Community College. And they had 2 days there of speaking about all the great things that which the Lions Club has done. And we know that because one of the main functions that they provide here within the city through also the church is the bed race, the Now I Lay Me Down to Sleep, and just the amount of beds that have been provided to our community over the long term in which they've done these services has greatly benefited our community. And I think about all the clubs across the country that provide that. So there's over 900 volunteers for both the Monroe and Wayne County's Lions Club. So my congrats to them for hosting here in our community region of Monroe County. The United Way was mentioned. Looking forward to the gala here come Saturday night. There's another activity that's going to occur on Saturday, May 16th. And it's through the Monroe Public Schools. They've held them here now the last couple of years within the city. And it's the Kindness Walk. And it's an opportunity to meet with not just the Monroe Public School staff and the superintendent, but the community that comes out and the students. And it's going to be, it's a simple 1 mile walk, but there's a great message there on how their mission and vision there of how to spread kindness, not only in the school, but throughout our community. Again, it's on Saturday, May 16th, and it begins at 9 a.m. Check-in is at 8:15. So if you haven't already registered, please make sure you get there early, because I know they start on time. One of the neat things about this kindness walk is the Monroe and Erie Youth Advisory Council is kind of holding a snack food drive, and snack foods that they're going to donate to others. So there again shows the students and their engagement, involvement of not only just showing up for what they're doing for their kindness walk, but to take that opportunity to impact our community in a kind of a food drive, but a snack drive. So I think those are my comments for this evening, and congratulations, Manager Cochran, now the interim managing Manager Cochran. So congrats, and I know we'll have any conversations. Look forward to the future. Clerk Lavoy.
Thank you, Your Honor. I too would like to congratulate Mr. Cochran. It's been a pleasure to work with him as a colleague for a number of years now, and I look forward to continuing that working relationship into the future in your new role. So congratulations. He will also be helping out at election night, as will many members of the staff here at City Hall and many members of the community who volunteer as election inspectors. The city precincts in Monroe are, each of the precincts that you're used to voting in will be open. Some communities understandably consolidate. We do not do that. So if you vote at the Woodcraft Square, that will be open and available to you. Polls open at 7 a.m. They will close at 8 p.m. And it's still not too late to turn in your absentee ballot. If you have that, you can drop it in the drop boxes that we have around town, and you can also bring it here to City Hall. So I think that's about it. It is one item, as Council Member Germaine mentioned, and but we plan it as if it's a super big election and might as well be a presidential election for the preparing that we need to do. So we're ready for you, and we look forward to seeing everyone on Election Day.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to the interim city manager, Cochran. Comments this evening?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you. Thank you to City Council for your continued trust and support. And I will say the past 2 weeks serving as acting, I've really appreciated the cooperation, collaboration, and conversation that we've had together as we move forward. And it's especially meaningful that your vote tonight was unanimous, and that I've got the confidence and trust of the council as a whole. Certainly means a lot, and I look forward to continuing that. I also thank Dr. Everly for thoughtfully, intentionally providing some conversation around this transition going forward tonight, and all the thought that she put into that, and as we seek to advise you and counsel you on as we move forward. But also the city staff, I want to recognize them over the past 2 weeks. Certainly this has been a big leadership transition, and one thing that Dr. Everly pointed out in her presentation tonight is continuity of operations. And I will say we haven't skipped a beat. The work has gone on. The work has continued as if they know their charge, and they do it very, very well. So I want to thank them and recognize them. Certainly, Clerk Lavoy, your staff leading into the election tomorrow. There is only one item on the agenda, but watching you, how seriously you take this and how seriously your staff preparing for tomorrow's election as if it is the presidential, and how hard they've worked, even with early voting, having City Hall open over the weekend. So well done, and I know tomorrow's going to go off seamlessly without a hitch because of your leadership and also the staff that you have. Finally, I want to recognize the county. The agreement that you approved tonight for St. Mary Academy, that was also a unanimous vote, and that exhibits a very strong partnership with our colleagues across the courtyard as we seek to move the city forward, but also for the good of the county and the good of the region. Tomorrow, we also have an item on their agenda, which is consideration of land acquisition to help facilitate the redevelopment of the fire station. And so we look forward to having conversation and moving that project forward with their assistance and cooperation as well. So those were my comments, but I also want to welcome Attorney Buds back to the city, and now even closer to City Hall. So just one last thing, if I may. This morning we had the opportunity to meet with a group of Rhodes Scholars through the University of Michigan. the University of Michigan Government Relations team had reached out to the mayor and I about hosting this visit, and we had about 30 professors across all the different colleges within the university, from the Ann Arbor campus to Dearborn to the Flint campus, and they are starting their tour of the entire state of Michigan in Monroe. And so we spent some time with them highlighting the uniqueness and special community that we have. We started at the ALCC and the Navarre Library and the Learning Bank space, and then took them over to the battlefield and told them we certainly could have hosted their whole week right here in Monroe and informed them of everything. But it was a great opportunity to showcase our city. And they all said they want to come back and see even more. So we welcome them. But also a final announcement related to the ALCC, Navarre Library, and Learning Bank expansion. The ribbon cutting has been scheduled for June 1st at 4:00 p.m. And this will be a community celebration. Everybody is welcome and invited to attend. And while the ceremony is taking place at 4:00, I know we're planning activities to happen throughout the evening, even though we'll be back here for our city council meeting later that night. But excited to finally open that project. That's certainly been a labor of love for so many, especially Director Lewis and also Matt Vanasacker leading that project forward. So everybody's welcome, and more information in the city's newsletter and social media. And that's all.
Thank you. Next is citizens' comments. If there's those that wish to make comments this evening, please come forward, state your name, jurisdiction of residence, and be mindful of the rules of the chamber of 3 minutes. Those present here, yes, sir, please come forward. Well, it's your opportunity for comments. I'm not sure you'll have answers, but we'll see what we can do for you.
I gotta give my name and address again.
Yeah, please do.
Casper Monday, 712 West 6th Street, Monroe, Michigan. Okay, I was wanting to ask you people about that bike trail. Who financed that?
I guess I don't know which bike trail you might be referring to.
The new one you're building down West 5th Street there.
Okay, and your question is? Who
Who financed it?
financed it? Was
Who
a
paid
grant.
for it?
It was a grant from the, looking at Manager
Federal grant?
Cochran from the DNR, yes.
DNR?
Yeah.
Paid for it?
Grant. We didn't, it was paid for by a grant.
Oh, okay, the street right beside there is full of holes.
Yep. And
Why didn't that
on
grant-
Adams Street?
No, 5th, West
Okay.
5th
It's-
goes into Rossler. It's full of holes down through there. You can't even drive down through there.
Okay.
And, okay, what about e-bikes? I was going to bring that question up too.
Sure.
They're out here on the street, they can do 35, 40 mile an hour. Their speed limit somewhere is only 25 and 30. So they're out there on the blacktop, the vehicles. So you don't know when you're going to hit one. You know, they cut in front of you and everything. I can understand bicycles riding the bike trail, but not these e-bikes. And you got to pay insurance to put plates on electric cars. And bicycles are electric. It's another question. And I was wanting to ask about MDOT. Do they give a grant to the city of Monroe each year?
Are they what in the city of
Do
Monroe?
they give a grant to the city of Monroe each year?
I'm trying to think if we've received funding from them. I know that they have some obligations in the city of Monroe. I know we've partnered with some road work that they provide funding for.
Well, does that money go for the roads?
I'm sorry, the money that comes from MDOT?
Money that comes from MDOT, does it go for the roads?
Well, it's for transportation, what they spend their money on, but it's not local roads that they spend their money on. It's on state highways and state roads, unless they're partnering with the federal government, then it's federal highway.
Okay, I was here a couple of years ago. They said MDOT allowed $275,000 for the city of Monroe. Fix streets. There's a man here, he asked for $125,000 of it to put a sidewalk from Salvation Army to Jerome Street. Well, the new sidewalk's in, where'd that money come from?
I'm looking to the manager Cochran. I believe that was a grant, or that was funded.
That was also a grant
Yes.
through the Safe Streets Initiative. Yeah.
MDOT, huh?
It was a state funding through MDOT that was set aside for sidewalks and trails. Yep.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought it's supposed to go for the streets. I guess that's all I got.
Thank you for your comments. And I appreciate your comments on the e-bikes. And it's,
Well, maybe I'll come back sometime and have some more.
okay, that'd be
Them
wonderful.
e-bikes, excuse me, them e-bikes are dangerous out there.
Well, and I think that's why with some of the items today were about passing some regulations and rules that make it available for the public safety to enforce. So thank you.
Well, some of these other cities, like Wine.net, has already passed the ordinance.
Yep, I saw that on the news last week. Thank you.
Okay, have a nice day.
All right, other comments from those present? Yes, sir, please step forward, name and jurisdiction of residence.
How you guys doing? Omar Furden, 411 West 3rd Street, Monroe, Michigan. 3 minutes, I got 4 things. Here we go. First off, Mark, congratulations, bud. I know you've been behind the scenes doing the work for years. Glad to see you. I had a conversation with somebody the other day. They literally said there's nobody better for it than you. And I kind of agree with them, you know. It's easy for us to sit behind the sidelines and judge and criticize what everybody does. But at the end of the day, you've been doing the work. Congratulations, you deserve it. And that brings me to my next thing. I wanted to thank all you guys. I'm very passionate about the Orchards community. I love that neighborhood. You guys know that. The city, MCOP, and all that receive a lot of flack for whatever people judging about the building and all that, and it's easy to sit and judge. But I want to thank you guys for putting forth the effort to do that. I'm hoping it's gonna be a beautiful facility. I can't wait to see what it does. I know you guys worked hard on it, so thank you guys. I wanted to come up here and say that. Thank you. And I want good luck tomorrow, Clerk Lavoie. And but the real reason why I came here today was as we celebrate the the Opportunity Center opening up, and we celebrate all the things you guys were doing down in the community. Last week I was here. You guys talking about the water mains. You guys doing a lot in the Orchards community. There's a passion project I love near and dear to my heart is the Selma Rankins Community Garden. As we open up the MCOP's the Opportunity Center down there, there's a big, beautiful garden down there. First Saturday in June for the last 10 years, we've been planting day. So here we go. We're looking at June 7th. This is our first Saturday. Please, you guys come on down, support. I know the ribbon cutting was the week before that, a couple days before that or something like that. But Selma Rankins Community Garden, Orchards Community, thank you guys for everything you guys do. Mark, good luck. Go team, go. Y'all have a good one.
Thanks, Omar. Thanks for bringing up the information about the June 7th there, because I was not aware that date had been set. So thank you.
I'll make sure that the next meeting come give you guys a flyer and all that fun stuff.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Other comments from those present here this evening? Yes. Brock, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mayor Clark, council, and now the interim city manager. Congratulations as well. And congrats to Matt, Mr. Bud's moving. Hopefully the wife is very happy. Anyways, it's been a busy week, or busy couple weeks up in Lansing. I just want to give a quick report on the budget. The House did pass a budget much earlier than last year, to our delight. It reduced the overall budget by about $600 million. Obviously we have to go through the Senate budget, and then there has to be, all the talking and negotiating and such. So it will come back quite a bit different, I'm sure. But we did do baseline budgeting, or I should say real line budgeting. So we looked at all the departments and looked at the last 3 years of spend. So we got the actual spend numbers, and then we went with the highest number for the past 3 years of any given department. And what we realized is that every department, or most departments, were overfunded. Over 50% of each line item department was being overfunded continually each year. So we reduced those to the actual spend, the highest of the last 3 years, and that saved about $2 billion off the budget that we were able to cut and then spend in other things, such as Medicaid, which we increased by $1.2 billion because of the federal cuts. So we solidified that with a $1.2 billion, $50 million investment for like SNAP cards and different cards to put in the chip-enabled cards to help cut with fraud and abuse. That's been pretty rampant across the U.S. A number of other things that we put in there. School funding, we increased by $250 up to 10,300, and then also did a universal school lunch program to pay for the continuation of that program. So we did a number of things in there. There is a number of public safety things as well, $10 million into the Public Safety Trust Fund that was existing. And then, probably the best news is increasing revenue sharing by 65 million. So that should help all the municipalities and townships. I'm pretty optimistic that most of those will stay in there or be real close. Another thing, last year's budget, we created a $2 billion constant road funding platform of consistent road funding, and then this year we added another 100 million into that, so it'll be 2.1 billion constant, consistent road funding from the state. So and increasing the local, I think it's called the Neighborhood Roads Program as well, which helps with the local and city municipal roads. That program will be continuing as well and was expanded. So, there's always a lot going on in Lansing. Had the pleasure last week of having Nancy up there for the library days. So I've seen her here tonight. So it was good to have her there. And then to meet Pat came up with the engineering group, all the smart people. So it was good to have him at the office. It's always an honor to have constituents or people from Monroe coming up to Lansing as well and trying to show them the sites and answer questions and hear concerns as well. So it has been pretty busy. Still working on a lot of legislation that hopefully will help with public safety regarding drones. So that should be on the House floor in a week to 2 weeks. So the very broad bipartisan support, for public safety and critical infrastructure security. So I'm definitely spearheading that and getting a lot of support across the state. And then, I think 2 months ago, I texted the mayor, and it was getting near the State of the State time. And I texted the mayor, I said, surely you've been to the State of the State, but if you would like to come, please let me know. And he responded by saying he's never been to Lansing for the State of the State, which blew my mind because you worked for MSP so long, and you've been mayor for, about 3 or 4 decades. And I thought, surely you've been up to the State of the State. So he responded very quickly. He would love to come. So it was an honor to have the mayor up for the State of the State, which is, a lot of pomp and circumstance, but it's really, truly a pretty cool thing to do. So I did bring you something tonight, Mayor, if I could give that to you. So it is a State of the State photo. With the official credentials there as well.
I'll put that up there.
So for your memory, yes. No, Mayor Clark thoroughly enjoyed the time, and he got to meet a lot of people on the floor. So it was an honor to have you there as my guest this year. Otherwise, we're continuing to do what we do, which is go to Lansing whenever I can or whenever we're supposed to, and working with constituents. A lot of calls regarding the housing bill package, and I spoke to the mayor recently about that and a number of other people. So that is a big concern, I think, for every local municipality around the state. And I am, as it is, very much opposed to that entire package because it takes away the local ability of a municipality or a township to set their own standards on what they want for housing plots and setbacks and things of that nature. So certainly stand against that. So, but we'll be working, and it's a very bipartisan push coming. So we'll see what happens, but I'm certainly very much against it. So, and then I do have one thing extraneous to this office, if I'm okay to announce it. So, as we know, the city, there's been a struggle. Oaks of Righteousness was doing, a lot of work in our city and in our community and doing very good things with those that needed help at that given time. And they had a hard time, hard go here the last 2 years. And I spoke with Gary Moore, the new director, and as a business owner in the community, wanted to be able to help them. So June 20th, from noon to 4. We're doing a community cookout for a cause at the Visiting Angels, and we're doing it to support the Oaks of Righteousness on their return. You know, they got a lot of work to do, but they certainly had a niche group that they were able to work and support. So I just wanted to make that announcement as well. Otherwise, if you have any questions, I'm done, sir.
Well, Representative Bruckett, appreciate it. Thanks for this. It was, I'm not smiling as much as everybody else. I don't know why, but I was happy to be there. And I thought at the State of the State, it was interesting because where your seat was and others, there was a large gathering of Monroe County people that were sitting in the rows right behind us, and I thought it was pretty it's like being back home. Sheriff Goodenough was there as well as many other people from our community, and I don't know how you got that many people in there, but
Well, I did not do that, but I think there was a dozen
well, you should
that
take
I
credit.
counted from
So,
Monroe County or
Yeah.
Monroe from my constituents,
Yeah.
which was kind of odd, but yeah, it was a little Monroe gathering there as well.
So I want to say thanks also for your being here, giving us an update. It's always good to have the work you're doing in Lansing, but also the work you're doing locally, which you just mentioned, of an opportunity to provide and support a need in our community. We thank you for doing that. But from the city council, I know we've had the conversations here, and I appreciate your support regarding not only the housing discussions that we had, taking that seriously and moving that on with others that you speak to in Lansing, but also the support with the trust fund, as well as many other items. So we really appreciate that, and I wish you the best on the legislation. I know that you are spearheading, as you said, as that moves forward in the correct fashion of how that can serve and provide service to the community. So I just want to say thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
See, I don't see anything.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other comments from those present here this evening? Any further comments? If none, I need a motion to adjourn. Motion from Councilman Hayter, supported by Councilman Felder to adjourn. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Stringham?
Yes.
Felder?
Yes.
Hayter? Stillgrave?
Yes.
Vining? Jermaine?
Yes.
Mayor Clark?
Yes, and thank you all for being here and all the conversation and discussion. Congratulations again, Mark.